This is a 10,000 square kilometer terrain. This area nearly matched the size of the Lebanon, a country in Middle East. Maybe you watched one of my last demo which I described that I made a train 3 times bigger than the map of the GTA 5. But this map is 125 times bigger than the map of the GTA 5. And right now it is running on Godot engine. All of this because M-Train does not limit it by your RAM memory anymore. But let's see how this is possible. So let's see what we had before this train update. The way this train worked before was like this. At load time, train will put the height map and everything related to the train into the RAM memory. After that, two threads start to work in a loop. One of them is physics update thread, which is responsible to creating physics collision shape for our train. At the same time, another thread starts to create train mesh with LOD system. Also, this thread reduced the size of the height map for region far from the train, and basically it optimized a lot the GPU memory. If you want more information about how this system works, I recommend to watch my train progress playlist. I also put some other useful resources in the video description. So up to this point we did a great job, and as much as our RAM memory allows, we can create terrain. I could say with the current computer in the market, we could create a 16 kilometer by 16 kilometer train by this method, which is also a big train and it is bigger than many open world games. But I want to go beyond this and create something even bigger. So the only way to do that is to load and unload height-map data from hard disk. And that is a little bit difficult. You know why? Because look at this. We have some data and we feed this data into two threads. And as long as you have two separate threads and they just read the data, there will be no problem. Here the thread which update the mesh and the thread which update the physics are completely separate, so everything is okay. But now we want to create another thread which load or unload the height map data, or in another word, it write into our data. And this can cause a lot of problem. So we should make a lot of synchronization between these threads so everything can work. So here I decided to do one thing. We launch all of this thread in another safe thread, which is the main thread which run the game loop. What I did is this. At first, I calculate which train region should be unload or load. And I made this calculation in that safe thread before launching any of the other threads. After that, I launch all of the other threads. So here, every other thread is agree which region is going to be destroyed. So no one is going to use that region data. That was the main thing. But there are a lot of other technical things also to this. And even after making this agreement system, almost everything in train collapsed. There was a lot of crashes, a lot of glitches, brush and sculpt system does not work, layer system was not working, but after hours and hours of work, I put everything back together. And when you are working with thread and there is somewhere a memory corruption, unfortunately, there is no good way to get a good error. The best way to solve that is to read your code and make all of the logic inside your head, and then maybe you guess what is happening. So let's take a look at the newer version of the M-Train plugin. First go to the GitHub and download the latest M-Train plugin you find in the release section. And please note at the time of the recording this video, this can still be unstable. But if you watch this in future, I don't know. Okay, after downloading that, put the M-Train plugin inside your add-on folder and activate that. Also, maybe the first time you run Godot with this plugin, Godot may crash, just run the Godot another time. Now create an M-Train node. So first thing you need to set is your region size. You can set that here. The unit of region is in grid unit. I really suggest to watch my other video which I explained how these numbers work. You can also check the wiki page on GitHub. Also, if you click on the info button, this will give you good information about region size and train size. Now in this train update, we have another property in the train property panel, which is the region limit. This means up to how many train regions should be loaded at each time in memory. By default, the value is 2, but you can increase or decrease that. Now, if I create a train, you can see the region will be loaded and unloaded. So what if you want to create a massive train like the train I made? In that case, there are a couple of things that you should pay attention to. First of all, it is much better to use double precision Godot. In that case, you should build Godot for double precision. Also, you should build mtrain plugin for double precision. In case you go over 1 million units far from the center in Godot, this could happen. But in this map, you can go up to 50 km far from the center. This terrain is 100 km long in each direction. And if you go to the edge of this terrain, you cannot see this effect. But your physics system will be a lot more buggy. Like you can see, I am stuck here. And many other artifacts can happen to the terrain also. For this demo, I used a single precision, but for a serious work, you should use double precision. Another thing is that you should handle a lot of data. Currently, in this 10,000 square kilometer terrain, the height map data size is 40 gigabyte. I also have one splat map for this terrain, which is also 18 gigabyte. In total, I have 58 gigabyte of data only for train. Of course, if I add some type of compression system to the train resource, we can reduce this a lot. But as I think no one wants to create such a big word, this is not my priority. Even if you want to create such a big word, you should have a big group consist of many persons. So as most of us don't want to create such a big word, can this make a difference for a smaller word? And yes, of course. For example, this is a demo for Alien Planet which I created before. In this demo, with the previous version of mtrain plugin, train needed around 1 gigabyte of RAM memory for train. But now it only consumes 500 megabyte of RAM memory. And this number won't change as your map size change. Even if you create a train double size of the alien planet, as long as you keep the region limit and region size around the player same, it will consume the same amount of the RAM. Maybe the RAM size will increase a little bit because train need to store some internal thing, even for places which train does not exist. Let me show you the graph for RAM usage and VRAM usage for Alien Planet in the previous version of mtrain plugin. As you can see, the RAM usage is always stay as same, but VRAM usage change because we stream resized height map texture into each region depend on how far they are from the camera. And this is the graph with the current version of mtrain plugin for Alien Planet. You can see the RAM memory usage is decreased. Also, we can see the RAM memory usage will change during the runtime. And that is because we are loading and unloading train resources from hard disk. For this 10,000 square kilometer train, the RAM memory usage is around 1.6 gigabyte. But this train is really huge, and I think this is okay. Another thing that is much better to do if you want to create a huge terrain is this. You know, if you put a lot of file inside your Godot project, Godot editor can freeze a lot. For example, for creating this train, I have 10,000 height map files and 10,000 splat map files. So in total, I have 20,000 files. So what I did to prevent Godot editor to freeze, I move all of the data for train outside of the Godot project, and in the train directory section, I put the path of the outside directory folder. And I had no more freeze in Godot editor. Of course, when I want to export my game, I can put again the data directory inside the Godot project and change the data directory path. And finally, thanks to all of my Patreon. If you have any question or suggestion, let me know in the comment section. Have a good time. Until the next video, bye.